The morning of my wedding, I didn't wake up to sunlight or excitement. I woke up to war. A single text from my future mother-in-law lit up my phone like a detonation. "We've taken your dress. The venue is canceled. Liam knows what's best. Don't make a scene." My blood turned to ice. My heart pounded in my throat. My hands trembled so hard, I nearly dropped the phone. I called Liam. Straight to voicemail, I called Chloe. No answer. Each unanswered ring felt like another knife twisting into my spine. But here's the thing. If they thought that message would break me, they underestimated the wrong woman. Because when I showed up at the ceremony, no veil, no invitation, no mercy, they were the ones who got the surprise of their lives. I should have seen it coming. Vera never hid her disdain for me when Liam wasn't looking. Sweet smiles when he was near, venomous glares when he wasn't. She criticized my dress, undermined my venue, insulted my choices. When I said no to her controlling tactics, she pouted like a child denied candy. I thought she was just a possessive mother. I thought Liam would defend me. I thought this day would be about love, not betrayal. I was wrong. So wrong. If you love stories of resilience, reclaiming justice with style, and rediscovering your worth, hit that subscribe button for Graceful Revenge now. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Let's dive into the power of elegant revenge and life's deepest lessons together. That morning, I woke up feeling excited, nervous, and full of anticipation. It was the day I had spent months planning for, the day I had poured thousands of dollars into. It was supposed to be the day I walked down the aisle and started a new chapter with the man I loved. Then my phone buzzed. The message from Vera hit me like a punch to the chest. "We've taken your dress. The venue is canceled, and your fiancé knows what's best. Don't make a scene, just accept it." At first, I thought I was still dreaming. My head felt light, my stomach twisted in knots. I had to read the message 3 times before it really sank in. I sat up so fast I nearly fell out of bed. My heart was racing. I immediately called Liam. Straight to voicemail. I called my maid of honor, Chloe. No answer. I tried the venue. The woman on the phone hesitated before answering. "Oh, yes. Liam called early this morning and canceled everything. I'm so sorry." My hands trembled. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. I ran to my closet. My dress was gone. The shoes I had carefully picked were missing. Even the veil had vanished. Panic gave way to something deeper, something cold and cutting. They had planned this. They had waited until the last possible moment to sabotage everything, thinking I'd be too crushed to fight back. They were wrong. I threw on the first clothes I could find, grabbed my keys, and stormed out the door. If my dress was gone, someone had taken it, and I knew exactly who. My first thought was to drive to Liam's, but something in my gut told me that would be a waste of time. Instead, I drove straight to Vera's house. The moment she opened the door, I saw it in her eyes. Smug satisfaction. She didn't even try to fake surprise. She leaned against the doorway like I was just another minor inconvenience. "You need to calm down," she said. Calm down? I was standing there in sweatpants on the morning of my wedding, and this woman, this witch, was telling me to calm down? "Where's my dress?" I demanded. Vera didn't even blink. "It's gone. And you won't need it anyway. The wedding is off." "You don't have the power to cancel my wedding," I said, my voice shaking. She smirked. "Liam made the call. He's doing what's best." I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "Where is he?" "Busy," she replied, almost amused. I don't know how I didn't scream. I don't know how I didn't break something. But I knew one thing. I wasn't getting anything from her. So I left. But I wasn't done. Not even close. If Vera had pulled something like this, she hadn't just canceled the wedding. She had done something worse. I felt it in my gut. I needed answers. So I drove to the venue. That's when I saw it. Cars pulling into the parking lot, guests arriving, decorations perfectly arranged. The venue was exactly as I had planned. And that's when I knew this wasn't just sabotage. This was war. Leo had planned. Because the wedding wasn't canceled. It just wasn't my wedding anymore. I got out of my car and walked toward the entrance. Nobody stopped me. People I knew, people who had been invited to my wedding, smiled at me as I passed. Completely unaware, I made it to the doors and stepped inside. And there she was, Sabrina, in a wedding dress. My wedding dress. My vision blurred with rage. My whole body went cold. Sabrina had been my friend. She had always been close with Liam. I had ignored the little comments, the playful touches, the way she looked at him when she thought I wasn't paying attention. I had been so stupid. And now she was standing at the altar with my fiancé, in my dress, at my wedding, like I never even existed. The betrayal was suffocating. It choked me, crushed my chest, made me feel like I was sinking into the floor. Liam stood there, calm, relaxed, like this wasn't the most disgusting, humiliating, psychotic thing he'd ever done. And that's when it clicked. This wasn't last minute. This wasn't impulsive. This was planned. Liam had let me spend months organizing this wedding, sending out invites, choosing flowers, paying deposits. He let me spend thousands of dollars. He let me believe I was about to marry the love of my life, all while secretly planning to marry someone else. He was going to let me wake up, discover the wedding was canceled, and vanish, like I was some random girl he used to date. They were going to erase me, and they thought I would just accept it. They had no idea who they were dealing with. I stood there frozen. People were laughing, chatting, taking their seats, completely unaware that this wasn't just another wedding. This was a hijacking. Vera stood at the front, beaming proudly, probably thinking she had pulled off the perfect crime. Sabrina adjusted my veil, glowing like some fake blushing angel. And Liam? Liam didn't look nervous. He didn't look guilty. He wasn't scanning the room, wondering where I was. Because he knew, because he was in on it. Something inside me cracked. I should have cried. I should have collapsed. But instead, a strange calm washed over me. They had taken everything, my dress, my venue, my fiancé, my wedding. But I wasn't gone. Not yet. I straightened my shoulders and kept walking. A few guests turned toward me. Some looked confused. Others recognized me. Whispers started. A ripple of confusion spread through the room. But nobody stopped me. Not until I reached the front row. And then our eyes met. Vera. Her smug little smile vanished. She stood up abruptly, stepping in front of me like she thought she could physically block me from ruining her fantasy. "You need to leave," she hissed, voice low and urgent. I smiled. Actually smiled. "I think I'll stay," I said. The whispers were louder now. Guests were nudging each other. I saw my cousin Rebecca staring, mouth open in shock. My eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Chloe, my maid of honor, my best friend. And that's when I noticed it. The guilt in her eyes. Like she knew, like she had known all along. My stomach twisted. Betrayed by my fiancé, by my fake friend Sabrina, by his deranged mother. But Chloe, too? That one hurt the most. She opened her mouth to say something, maybe explain, maybe apologize, but I wasn't in the mood for excuses. I turned back to Vera, who was still trying to act like she had control. "You weren't invited," she said, forcing a smile through clenched teeth. I laughed, loud and sharp. Really? Because last I checked, this was my wedding. Liam turned then. His face was carefully blank, but I saw it, the flicker of panic in his eyes. Sabrina, standing beside him, went pale. Now people were definitely watching. Liam stepped forward, his voice calm, rehearsed. "Let's not do this here." I tilted my head. "Oh, but you wanted to do this here, didn't you?" I said, gesturing around the venue. "You planned this whole thing behind my back." Sabrina tried to grab Liam's arm, like she could somehow pull him out of this mess. "Look, we didn't," she started. "Cut her off?" I repeated, my voice razor sharp. "You didn't what, Sabrina? You didn't steal my fiancé? Didn't wear my dress? Didn't let me plan my own wedding while you stood in the background, waiting to take my place?" Her mouth opened and closed like a stunned fish. She had no words. I turned back to Liam. "How long?" I asked. He didn't answer. "How long have you been planning this?" Still nothing. Sabrina fidgeted beside him. "It just happened," she said weakly. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "It just happened? Oh, so you just tripped and fell into my wedding dress, into my fiancé's bed?" Vera sighed dramatically, like I was the one being unreasonable. "Stop making a scene," she groaned. I snapped my head toward her, eyes blazing. "You planned this, didn't you?" She didn't deny it. She didn't even try. I nodded, a cold, detached calm spreading through me like ice. "You know what, Vera? I was ready to be the bigger person. I was going to marry your son and tolerate you for the rest of my life." I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "But now, I'm going to destroy you." She flinched. "Good." Liam finally spoke, his voice oddly calm. "It's over, okay? Let's just move on." "Move on?" I repeated, something inside me snapping clean in half. "All right." I pulled out my phone. "Then let's tell everyone exactly what's going on." I hit play. Vera's voice blasted through the speaker system. "We've taken your dress. The venue is canceled, and your fiancé knows what's best." Gasps rippled through the crowd. But I wasn't finished. Then came Liam's voice. "Babe, I'm sorry, but my mom is right. You're just not good enough. Sabrina is better suited for me. She'll be a proper wife." Complete silence. It was so quiet, I could hear the sharp shatter of a champagne glass dropping to the floor. Sabrina took a step away from Liam, horrified. Vera's face drained of color. And Liam looked like he was about to be physically sick. I took a deep breath, letting the silence do its job. Then I leaned in and looked Sabrina dead in the eye. "Still want him?" She bolted. Vera turned to Liam. "You told her that?" Liam was frozen, his brain clearly struggling to process how completely this was falling apart. I pulled out another piece of paper, slowly unfolding it. "You know what else I have?" I said. "The bill for the wedding." Vera's head snapped toward me. "See, Liam and I signed financial agreements before the wedding, which means..." I held up the document. "He owes me for everything." Her mouth fell open. $35,000, I said, reading the number. "Due immediately." Liam's face turned the color of chalk. "That's not..." I shrugged. "It's in writing, signed, legal." Then I smiled. "And if you don't pay..." I leaned in, voice like velvet. "Well, you know I love a good public scandal." Vera looked ready to faint. Liam stammered, You can't." "Oh, I can," I said, turning to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the show, because it's not over yet." Liam looked like a cornered rat. Vera's mouth opened and closed with no sound. Some guests had their phones out now, recording every second. Sabrina was gone. Good. But Chloe, my so-called best friend, was still frozen in guilt. I wasn't done. Liam had taken everything from me. His mother had made sure of it. They wanted me too embarrassed, too broken to fight back. But they had underestimated me. And now I was going to ruin them. Just as Vera opened her mouth, probably to screech some poor excuse, the doors swung open. A man in a sharp suit walked in, briefcase in hand. "Apologies for the interruption," he said loudly. Liam's face went ghost white. "Because this?" This was my lawyer. "Miss," he said, nodding at me, "everything is in order." I smiled. Perfect timing. Vera actually grabbed Liam's arm like she was trying to hold him up. "You got a lawyer?" she hissed. I turned to her. "Of course I did. You and your son stole my wedding, my money and my time. You thought I wouldn't show up with legal backup?" Gasps. Loud whispers. Liam finally spoke. "This is ridiculous." My lawyer didn't even glance at him. "According to the financial agreement signed prior to this event, you, Liam, are legally bound to cover all wedding expenses." Liam choked on air. $35,000, my lawyer continued, cool and clear. Non-negotiable. Vera lost it. "This is a scam!" she shrieked. The lawyer didn't even blink. "No, ma'am, it's legally binding." They had planned this wedding, then swapped out the bride last minute. That meant Liam, her precious son, now owned the bill. The color drained from Liam's face. "You have until the end of the day," my lawyer added calmly, "before legal action is taken." A waiter coughed to hide a laugh. Someone in the crowd muttered, "Holy shh," but didn't finish. And then another voice broke the tension. "Wait," said Chloe, her voice shaky. I turned. I wasn't sure I even wanted to hear what she had to say, but she looked wrecked, pale, trembling, and broken. She took a deep breath. I knew!" Gasps rippled through the crowd. Liam's head whipped toward her. "Chloe, shut up!" he snapped, but she shook her head wildly. "Number, I can't keep lying." Tears welled in her eyes. "Vera told me, weeks ago. She told me they were planning to replace you. She said you weren't the right kind of wife for Liam." I felt sick. My best friend, the one I trusted above everyone else, had known. Chloe wiped her eyes, her voice cracking. "I wanted to tell you. I really did. But Vera, she threatened me. She said if I warned you, she'd ruin me. She'd make sure I lost my job." I blinked. "Your job?" More murmurs rippled through the room. Chloe looked down, ashamed. "Vera owns the firm I work at. She said she'd fire me if I said anything." Vera crossed her arms. "And I would have," she said coldly. The crowd booed. Someone yelled, "Are you serious?" Chloe looked at me, desperate. "I'm sorry, I should have told you. I was weak and I held up a hand. I couldn't process this right now. I turned to Liam and Vera. "You really threatened my best friend's job, just to get rid of me?" Vera rolled her eyes. "It's called handling problems." I let out a breath. Unbelievable. But Chloe wasn't done. She turned to Liam, her hands shaking. "Tell her the rest." Liam froze. Vera whirled on Chloe. "Chloe, don't you dare!" Chloe's voice rose. "Tell her the rest, Liam." Silence. Dead silence. I watched Liam's face crumble. I knew then, it was even worse than I thought. I stepped forward. "Liam." He wouldn't look at me. "Tell me." He swallowed hard. His hands clenched, his jaw locked. Then finally, he muttered, "Sabrina's pregnant." The room exploded. I staggered back. Pregnant. Pregnant. I heard people gasping, whispering, muttering curses under their breath. Sabrina, my friend, had stolen my fiancé, worn my dress, hijacked my wedding, and now she was having his child, and I was supposed to just disappear? Liam had the nerve to look sorry, like some flimsy apology would fix this. I looked at Vera. "So that's what this was about. That's why you wanted me gone." She shrugged, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Sabrina is giving my son an heir." "An heir? Like we were in some medieval royal family." I laughed. Actually laughed. Liam winced. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I held up a hand. "Don't. Just don't." I turned to the guests. "Everyone, let's give a big round of applause to Liam and Sabrina, who are expecting a child after stabbing me in the back." Someone in the back actually clapped. A woman muttered, "I need more popcorn." Liam looked miserable. Vera was seething. I was done. I turned to my lawyer. "Are we good?" He nodded. "I'll handle the rest." "Perfect." I smoothed down my suit, turned, and walked out. But I didn't go far. Something inside told me I wasn't finished. Not yet. Because after everything, the stolen wedding, the lies, the betrayal, there was still something missing. And I needed to know exactly what it was. I turned back. Liam was rubbing his temples like all of this was just giving him a headache, like I was just some problem to deal with. Vera was muttering under her breath, shooting Chloe a death glare, probably wishing she could set her on fire with her mind. The guests were eating this up. Some had hands over their mouths in shock. Others had their phones out, recording everything. And then, Sabrina walked back in. She didn't look guilty. She didn't look embarrassed. She looked furious. "You just had to ruin everything," she snapped. She marched straight down the aisle, in my dress, like she still belonged there. I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I ruin your big day?" She crossed her arms, breathing hard. "You weren't supposed to find out like this," she hissed. I stared at her, stunned for a moment. And then I laughed. Actually laughed. "You're unbelievable," I said. "What part of this did you think I wouldn't find out? The part where you stole my fiancé? The part where you wore my dress? Or maybe the part where you're pregnant with his baby?" She flinched at that. I knew then. That part wasn't supposed to come out. Liam groaned. "Sabrina, stop talking." I pounced. "What else is there, Sabrina?" I pressed. "You might as well spill it all now." She looked away. Vera suddenly stepped forward, her voice panicked. "Sabrina, don't you dare." "Too late," Sabrina snapped. "You think I'm the bad guy?" She spat, eyes blazing. "Do you have any idea what I was promised?" The whole room fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. Liam's head jerked up. "Sabrina, shut up!" But she was done keeping secrets. "They told me I'd have a perfect life," she said, her voice trembling. "That Liam would marry me, that we'd be this perfect couple, that I'd be the new face of their family." My stomach turned. Vera had planned this long before today. She had handpicked Sabrina like a replacement doll, and Liam, spineless as ever, had gone along with it. Sabrina's voice wobbled, but she didn't stop. "But now I see the truth. I was never going to be the wife. I was just a way to get rid of you." Then she turned to Vera, eyes narrowing with realization. "And once the baby is here, you were going to push me out too, weren't you?" Vera's face tightened. "Don't be ridiculous." Sabrina took a step closer, shaking her head. "Oh my God, you were. That's why you kept saying the baby was the only thing that mattered." Liam stiffened. "Sabrina, let's talk about this later." But she was spiraling now. "You lied to me," she whispered, staring at him. "You said you loved me." Vera scoffed. "Love doesn't matter, Sabrina. A strong family matters." That was it. Sabrina lost it. She yanked off the veil, threw it at Vera's feet, and let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "I was just another pawn," she said, voice cracking, just like her. She pointed at me, and suddenly it hit me. Sabrina wasn't my replacement. Sabrina and I had been the same, used, manipulated, deceived. She had fallen for it too. The only difference? I got out before it was too late. Sabrina wiped her eyes, turned without another word, and walked out. Liam called after her, panicked now. "Sabrina! Sabrina, wait!" She didn't, and then Vera snapped. "This is your fault!" she screamed at me, pointing like a lunatic. I blinked. "My fault?" She jabbed a finger at my chest. "If you had just left quietly, none of this would have happened." I let out a sharp breath. "You really don't get it, do you?" I said, shaking my head. "Liam didn't love me, and guess what? He doesn't love Sabrina either. You've controlled his entire life, and now you've ruined it." Liam's jaw clenched. Vera turned on him. "Say something," she demanded. But Liam just stood there, silent, pathetic, a man who had finally realized he'd lost everything. I could have destroyed him more. I could have made one final brutal remark that would have buried him, but he wasn't worth it. None of them were. So I stepped back. I turned to my lawyer. "Let's go?" He nodded, adjusting his tie. "We'll send the final paperwork later." And then I walked. I walked down the aisle, the one I was supposed to walk down in a white dress, past the stunned guests, past the whispers, past Vera shaking with rage. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. Liam tried to contact me, of course. The messages were pathetic. "Can we talk?" I made a mistake. I just need a chance to explain. I never answered. Sabrina disappeared. She moved out of state. No one really knows where she went. Vera? She lost everything. Her grip on her social circle slipped fast. Her reputation collapsed. Business partners pulled away. Liam never recovered from the public humiliation. The wedding scandal spread quickly, and soon, every deal he touched fell through. People stopped trusting him, and when Vera's name started being dragged down with his, she turned on him. I heard she moved away to start fresh, without him. Karma handled all the rest for me. And me? I thrived. I moved to a new city, found a real job, made real friends, the kind who don't hide secrets behind fake smiles. I stopped looking back. I built a life that was honest, independent, and mine. Because the truth is, I won. Not because I got revenge, not because I embarrassed them, but because I walked away, because I didn't let them break me, because I found a life so much better than the one they tried to trap me in. And now, when I look back at that day, at that text, at that betrayal, at that entire disaster, I don't feel anything at all. And that's the best revenge of all.